Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're hearing Mark Stein of the Stein Line putting out a report that allegedly the Milwaukee Bucks are interested in Bradley Beal. And we had kind of floated that idea that there was murmurings of it. So now, before we start today's video, I want to hear you guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you guys think of this report by Mark Stein of the Bucks being interested in Bradley Beal? They would obviously need another team to facilitate it. And I really think, as you guys have seen on the screen, I've shown you guys 4 trades. 3 of them are 4-team trades with a third team acting as like a facilitator to help salary dump and probably take on compensation, with the Raptors, Spurs, and the Hornets being the 3 teams, as we heard the Detroit Pistons are looking to be buyers. So the Milwaukee Bucks are coached obviously by Doc Rivers, and with Chris Middleton seemingly not returning to himself, Bradley Beal could be someone that they target, as Jimmy Butler wants to go to Phoenix. The Heat don't want Bradley Beal, and the Heat might be more enticed to take Chris Middleton on because he becomes an expiring contract next year. So, and plus he makes $20 million less. So today we'll talk about the fit for Bradley Beal with the Bucks and how all these trades would work for the Suns, the Raptors, the Spurs, and the Hornets. I want to hear your thoughts down below. You guys have seen all 4 trades on the screen. We'll break them down, but let's get right into it. And in these deals, we basically have Bradley Beal and Josh Richardson going to the Bucks. Josh Richardson has only played 8 games this season. He's been a non-factor due to a heel injury. And the Bucks under Doc Rivers have gotten better defensively. They've really leaned into Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, with Brook Lopez starting, to round into form after a slow start to the year. So bringing in a guy like Bradley Beal would make this team an offensive powerhouse. They'd have the consistent 3-point shooter in Bradley Beal, who can actually be a point of attack defender. They get themselves, they can also, by the way, waive Josh Richardson and sign somebody. And this is a team that would improve offensively. Yes, this trade might make them slightly worse defensively, but I think Doc Rivers would be able to integrate Bradley Beal to maximize his scoring while balancing out his defensive capabilities, sort of like how he did with Ray Allen and Paul Pierce, as I really do believe that's possible. Now, Mike Budenholzer, who's actually formerly the Bucks coach and now the Suns coach, he's a guy who likes ball movement, player motion, and perimeter shooting. So they want Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler's going to improve their defense and really just help this team in general. And Bradley Beal isn't somebody that the Heat want. So by either having a team like the Raptors take on Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton, or the Spurs take on Pat Connaughton or Bobby Portis, or the Hornets, and then each team has different, they are what they're, besides Chris Middleton, whatever. So if it was the Hornets would be giving up like Cody Martin and Vasilija Micic to go to the Heat, because the Heat could use Vasilija Micic kind of like Goran Dragic, and Cody Martin's Caleb Martin's brother. So they would probably use them, and they're both have another year remaining on their deal, and they're flexible, cheap contracts. While the Spurs could give up Zach Collins, and I think what we did with the Spurs was Zach Collins, and I think it was Julian Champagnie was the deal we did right there. So that's another one where you're thinking for the Raptors are basically able to send out their Chris Boucher and Garrett Temple if they wanted, or Ochai Agbaji was in this deal because he kind of fits the Heat culture too. So for all these deals, I think it goes to show that the Heat could get themselves a little nice package of players that they can trade or reallocate for another, or really just they fit into their cultures. And for each of these teams, by the way, before we continue this whole Bucks thing, is that under the interim coach Mitch Johnson, they're trying to find guys who are going to help them win now. And I think Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton, 2 guys on relatively cheap deals, give them some more veteran experience and allows them to blend veterans with, the young players in this team that's trying to probably make a play-in push. The Hornets, they're playing a lot faster under Charles Lee, and they're kind of taking a gap year after Grant Williams got hurt, and this is the last year that they have a protected pick. So it's in their best interest to be a lottery team. If not, they lose their pick. And the Raptors have made it clear that they actually want to be facilitators. Chris Boucher, somebody who fits the Heat culture. Same thing with Ochai Agbaji. Now, if we look at this, I think a potential Bradley Beal move would allow Doc Rivers just to have an explosive guy on the team, as this year Bradley Beal's averaging 18 points, 48% from the field, and I think he's shown when he's healthy he can be really impactful on defense for the first time in years. While Mike Budenholzer's system with ball movement and perimeter shooting, especially focusing off of those two offensive nucleuses that are Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, Tyus Jones is their only true point guard. They're kind of playing Monte Morris, and then off the bench they have Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. I think one thing that's obviously Bradley Beal is now, and then of course also Jusuf Nurkic. And this is another thing, is Jusuf Nurkic might be included in this deal if this was supposed to be done. But bringing in Jimmy Butler, Jimmy and Tyus Jones would be your two best passers now. And you'd probably move Ryan Dunn to the bench, because you'd probably go Devin Booker, Tyus Jones, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, and Nick Richards. And now you have Ryan Dunn, Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, and Mason Plumlee off the bench, which I think Butler, who 18 points a night, 55% from the field so far, he's going to be a guy who can also be their team's, like I said, secondary playmaker. While I think the Raptors could benefit from the hustle and shooting that both Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis would give them. Plus, they're players that they could flip. Portis is averaging like 14 and 8, and he actually can play on the floor with Jakob Poeltl, or be a guy who could be their sixth man and really help them. There's also, if the Heat wanted to add another player in this deal, they could take out Ochai Agbaji or take out Chris Boucher, I believe it is, and they could do Bruce Brown. There's a way that the Heat can get Bruce Brown in this too, which is possible. But I think Darko Rajakovic is cool coaching anybody, especially if they play hard. And I think Connaughton and Portis both are guys who fit there. While we already talked about how the Spurs getting seasoned players like Portis and Connaughton would provide leadership and experience, especially championship experience, to a young roster, that as both players offer not only scoring and rebounding, but that significant presence that the Spurs want in their growth-oriented strategy around Victor Wembanyama. And I think Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis would help Tijon Saloon and Mark Williams, especially now that they traded Nick Richards, and with Grant Williams being hurt and Brandon Miller being hurt, just give them some reinforcements. And their combined averages is like 18 points a game, which would just help LaMelo Ball out a lot. So for me, I think if you look at a deal for Bradley Beal, the Milwaukee Bucks under Doc Rivers are a team that has really wanted to be an offensive juggernaut. And part of the reason, the first year, if it was Chris Middleton was out all year, but now, and then he didn't come back till later of the year. And even though the last two seasons when we have seen him play, he doesn't look like himself. And it took Dame and Giannis a year to figure it out, but they've figured it out. They're working. The duo is what we wanted. However, it was supposed to be a three-headed dragon. It's really a 2.25 because we haven't seen Chris. So for me, I see this being getting a guy like Bradley Beal. Yeah, it's going to be expensive and you're double downing, but you might as well, because it's probably the best player, unless somehow you can get Zach LaVine. Those are the two best players that you could possibly get if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, to replace Chris Middleton with an actual bona fide guy who can be in the top 30 echelon. So that's my whole thoughts on that. I want to hear your guys' opinions. What do you guys think and why, if you guys agree with me or not? That's going to be it for me. But peace. Also, let me know which trades you guys like. I made sure to have them loop throughout the video, but yeah, peace.